Hello everybody, welcome to another video in the Student Exemplar series. Today we're looking at an answer on The Lord of the Flies. What is the significance of the beast in the novel? So let's jump right into the answer. One of the earliest references to the beast in Lord of the Flies is asserted by Piggy, who seems tense and excited when he pronounces the beast to be a snake thing ever so big. This image immediately has connotations of evil, citing a snake and producing fear in the boys. Here Golding is setting out precisely the negative satanic imagery associated with the beast, so that the boys and the reader have a feeling of fear when we think of the beast. It is not made clear initially why we should be afraid of the beast, yet the darkness helps the boys' imagination run wild, as even in the darkness Piggy is keen to note that a little one actually saw it. Golding is establishing a firm theme throughout the unknown beast that their imaginations substitute fear for facts, becoming controlled by their fear. This idea ties into Golding's contextual preoccupations of the suspicion and fear centering on the Cold War at the time of writing. So let's just pause there for a second. I was recently asked by a student on Mailbox Monday, should I include an introduction if I don't get any marks for them? And I think it's useful to include just a one-sentence introduction. And I would have perhaps just had the introduction that Golding uses the beast as a symbol of the Cold War fears or something like that, just to kind of make it clear where your line of argument or your theory is going. Because this is clearly a very good answer where the student's got a very sophisticated idea and it needs that kind of just grounding in a sort of very quick introduction, because else we don't want to, get halfway through the answer before we think, oh wow, this is good. We want to have some sense where the answer is going. And, with these two paragraphs are a great example of that. The first paragraph is some nice language analysis, although it could be a little deeper, looking at how the snake is the imagery of Satan in the Garden of Eden, and the connotations of that are kind of just quickly mentioned. The second paragraph is much better with the link to the context. But you don't want the examiner to have to be partway through the answer before they see how good it's going to be. And that's really the purpose of a very succinct introduction. Despite the real identity of the dead parachutist never being fully realised amongst the boys, the idea of a terrifying beast somewhere on the island allows Golding to explore the darker, more evil side to human nature through his impressionable characters. Jack creates a display of gruesome violence after his kill when he creates the Lord of the Flies, a speared, toothless head of a sow given as a gift for the beast. Structurally, this is revisited at key points in the novel to remind the reader of the deterioration of the boy's moral fibre. For example, when Simon is hallucinating that the Lord of the Flies is talking to him, and at the end when Ralph is running from the hunters. Okay, so this is a paragraph that's hinting at structure analysis, but I would have liked the topic sentence to make it clear, and say something like Golding's use of structure is used to highlight the importance of the deterioration of the boy's moral fibre or something like that. Just to make it clear, this is a point of structure analysis. Again, we want to make it very clear early on what it is that the paragraph is analysing. Additionally, the fear of the beast is a vehicle for Golding to present perhaps the most violent moment in the whole novel too, the murder of Simon in the chapter A View to a Death. The violent and primitive language used in the chanting "kill the beast, cut his throat, spill his blood" is contrasted with the depths of understanding obtained by Simon in his previous pages of the novel. Simon climbs the hill and faces the fearful beast. His discovery and subsequent news of the harmless parachutist is met with the open mouth of the horseshoe of boys who close in on the suspected beast. Golding creates a chilling tone when he describes the scenes as a tearing of tooth and claws. This zoomorphism allows Golding to establish that their fear of the unknown beast has culminated in a sudden and definite moral decline from which there is no return. Now, this is an interesting paragraph because it's actually quite different to the previous paragraphs. I think this student is clearly very, very clever. And this paragraph has some underdeveloped points. It sort of does a few things, actually. It's beginning by analysing the what is called violent and primitive language in Kill the Beast, Cut His Throat, Spill His Blood. But that would have been good to look at in more detail. What is it that's primitive? The sentences get shorter as the novel goes on, it's as if um, the boys are regressing and losing their civilized behavior and becoming more primitive through their their sentence length. Just to make it clear then, and that would be then again structure analysis through the sentence length, or perhaps the demanding nature of what they're saying, perhaps the the bossy verbs, the modal verbs that are being used here could be analysed. So that's one thing that I think was not quite looked at in as much detail as it might have been looked at. And then the zoomorphism could be explored a little bit further, but all the time we want to link what we're writing about in literature to the writer's ideas and themes. And we have to be careful that we don't write about the characters and the events as if they're real, but we use them as a jumping off point to write about the writer's ideas and themes. And this is, again, twice now where the student has just mentioned those themes or the context of those themes as a bolt-on sentence at the end of a paragraph. So the one that it says, this ties into Golding's contextual preoccupations of the suspicion and fear centering on the Cold War at the time of writing, is very similar to this one, which says, fear of the unknown, a sudden and definite moral decline from which there is no return. These are both great unexplored opportunities to look at why has the writer written this book? What is he trying to say? And this could be developed more. There aren't a great deal of points for context, so you don't need to sort of just prove that you know what was going on at the time, but the writer's ideas and themes are key. So a little bit more exploration of why the writer was doing these things. What are they saying about humanity? What are they saying about people would have been useful here. Lastly, the beast is significant because it is a constant source of coercive control in Jack's Castle Rock dictatorship. After the murder of Simon, the savages ask the chief, "But didn't we?" implying that they had successfully killed the beast the night before. This makes Jack squirm, as he knows he has no control over his savages if they believe themselves to be liberated from the beast. The word squirm here is significant as we associate it with the movement of a snake. The verb evocative of evil has connotations with the snake thing established in chapter 1, and this reflective imagery has the effect that the evil in Jack's heart has propelled him into the job of the chief. However, he squirms to think that his power only rests on the fear of the other boys. This is probably the most impressive idea in this answer, isn't it? It analyzes the snake-like imagery, but then it explores how that structural repetition of that imagery is important and what that tells us. I think this is a fantastic paragraph. Jack is insistent that the beast is not dead. How could we kill it? By phrasing this as a question, Jack is not asking his savages to consider methods by which they may be rid of the beast. He could possibly be diminishing the boy's power by comparison to the beast, establishing a need for himself to be their proper chief, and excuse his violent acts. However, this could also be Golding prompting his reader to ask themselves the question, how could the boys kill Simon? Golding's message, that everything is subject to the same deterioration on the island, comes into view here when we consider what the old life has been stripped away. What of the old life has been stripped away to make this crime possible? Golding's use of the beast provides fear as a source of control, perhaps pointing the finger at opportunist governments in the wider world. So it's a really nice ending. Something like this last sentence would have been quite a good introduction. Golding's use of language, structure and form to present the beast provides fear, just to sort of explain the kind of extended idea in the answer. Very, very good answer. What I do in this exemplar series is I try to say how you can improve a piece, but that doesn't mean it's not already amazing. Time and time again, people said to me, give it a grade, give it a grade, give it a mark. But I don't do that because what I'm looking to do is show you how to improve work. This may well already be a mark that got full mark, a piece of work that got full marks. It's always debatable. Teachers can debate, examiners can debate, but what's important is looking at what's good about it and how to improve it. The mark it gets is not important. So if you found this video useful, please do subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it when you subscribe. That's why I work so hard on the videos, so please do subscribe.